Hey guys, welcome to the stream. I'm the Wombat of Doom.
I'm Mega Kirby.
Up, Trell, you cut out. Say that again.
I'm I'm Trillion Spears.
Okay,
He only has
awesome.
50% O2, so he only gets 50% stream time.
Man, that's making fun of people with problems.
Alright.
Welcome to the stream, everyone. Um, so I know what you're thinking. It's been a while. We're sorry. We've been kind of indisposed in one way, shape, or form. You know, it's the holidays. Halloween is happening, so like, or has happened at this point. So like, we were kind of a little busy.
Kirby's fault.
It actually is my fault.
Hashtag blame
Two of the
Kirby.
times. 2 or 3 were my fault.
Yeah, one time was me.
Fair.
But either way, we're back. We're here, and we're not gonna actually talk about spooky stuff today. We kind of skipped the spooky season this time,
Yep.
but I think we drank from that well pretty deeply last time. Today, what we're going to be talking about is, well, frankly, what being a gamer has taught us about being a gamer. So,
like
for example, all three of us started playing video games when we were young. So now, when we play video games, we instinctually play games a specific way based off of what we've learned. And we wanted to talk about that today and explore that a little bit with you guys. So,
Right.
right?
No, I think you hit it right on the money.
So, let's talk about that.
I was trying to think of how to start this. Like, either talking about my experience with watching my parents who never play games, watching them play games is always funny. Or like, I don't know. I guess what's the best way to start?
I think have you ever watched someone like try to play like Zelda, like even Breath of the Wild, or we can always use our favorite example, Dark Souls.
Dark
It-
Souls.
You ever like watch someone just go in and start playing it, and like,
Kayla.
you can tell they don't really play too many video games. Kayla.
Rose.
Yeah.
And they just go in there, and you're like, "What are you doing? Like, why wouldn't you just go and like check out that item over there or something like that?" And they're just kind of like running in circles or something.
Yep. Yeah. Well, because one of the most consistent things is that I guess we can talk about is it's like very, very hard for them to understand that you can move in one direction and look in another, or do both at the same time.
Yeah. I've noticed that. Like when you see people starting to do that, you're kind of like,
They're new.
Have you not done many video games before?"
Yep.
I mean,
and to be fair, maybe they have. Maybe they stuck around with like Tetris or something like that, or Minecraft. Well, Minecraft you can you move and look around at the same time, but
sure.
it's like there's different types of games. There's like the point click games and stuff like that. So maybe they haven't really done that, but you start to come accustomed to certain things, and I think from Soft actually being a fantastic example actually is like people start to notice that and they play off of those things because then
Right.
like. And I feel like there's just been a huge influx of like troll producers of video games lately, where they just they know what you're gonna do and they can kind of predict you, and then they just go ahead and kind of like I don't know, throw in some reverse psychology crap at you. That's
Yep.
my experience of late, at least. That's why I really wanted to talk about this because I was like, there's something there to it. I'm not sure how we like address this topic, but there's something there where there's like I feel like there's just a large influx of games coming out that they know what you're gonna do before you even do because they just know like
how
predictable
people play
patterns.
games.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
important for the games to have patterns too, right? Like if every game, like, how do I want to word this? I mean, imagine if every game you played, like all the platforms you played, for example, didn't have like. I guess the genres are defined by patterns. I guess to make sense is what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
But
okay,
I
that's
think
fair.
so.
I
You're saying
guess
like a platformer is in like Mario is defined
Mario,
by
Donkey Kong Country, Sonic. Like obviously there are differences between them, but for the most part, you almost always move left to right. There's by definition there's gonna be some jumping involved. There's gonna be some things to collect, and for the most part, you just jump over enemies or jump on enemies. Like yeah,
Right.
and like it's A is always jump or act. Like the bottom button on the controller, on which I'm looking at now, is like almost always jump.
Unless
There's
it's
generally
Nintendo, but
yeah. Now
so.
it's B.
Yeah. Um. honestly, like, I guess so. We actually all watched a video that
Yes.
kind of inspired us to do this episode, and I'll link it in my Discord after this episode's done, in the Rogue Scholars channel. But
Yep.
if you're watching live, I know the chat thing's gonna be going away soon from VODs, so that's why I wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for those of you who are watching until then, until the 11th, go ahead and click on that link, smash that link. But
Smash that link button. Yep.
ultimately speaking, one thing that I kind of connected with is, you know, since I made and still make Mario Maker levels, I've noticed that when submitting them to people, some people play them very differently. Or like, I've had people in real life who've played my Mario levels and found them incredibly challenging. Either because they weren't used to the Mario mechanics, or like,
Okay.
or I don't know, like it was just like,
So like
They didn't know how to run.
Like, okay, yeah.
or like they weren't used to running and moving, like their flow of movement wasn't very good. You know what I
Like,
mean?
like actually you mentioned in the video, the creator of that video, like pretty much one of the one of the first things that I do in any game is try and find the sprint button because I'm impatient, and I always try to figure out, okay, what lets me go even faster. And
Until like, and there's some games where like the sprint isn't really noticeable from the rest of the game, like the other
yeah.
movement. But I don't know. I just watching that video kind of made me think of, since I am a creator, like how can I make games more relatable to the people that play them and to the most amount of people? Because obviously, if you make a game just for people who have played video games in the past, you're going to be leaving out a whole demographic. But if you make it so that it's mostly for people who haven't played video games, or like dumb it down, then you could lose a whole demographic too, because like people get impatient or it's over explaining.
Well, yeah, I don't want my handheld the whole time, but at the same time, I understand that some people haven't played games as much as I have.
Right,
So.
and a lot of people don't want to be handheld, even if they don't know how to play. Like for example, in Dark Souls at the beginning, like they throw all these different types of mechanics at you, and a lot of people, even if they're starting it for the first time, ignore it. You know, like or like we'll look down at the controller and it won't be as easily interpreted. Like what's L3 or what's R3? Like that's
No one knows. Yeah, they look at the controller to try and find L and R3.
yeah, it's not there.
It's
People do that.
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Like all the time. Like anytime I don't have that many friends anymore that don't play games, but whenever I do, if it's I'm like, oh, L3 is sprint, they're like, they seriously like open up the controller, like take out the battery panel, like, oh, is it in here? Nope, not in there. So
I mean, I've had to have people explain what R and L3 were to me at one point. I was
Well,
like,
yeah,
what is that? But like I don't know, like it's an it's an interesting thing to think about. Like playing games is so instinctual for me now. Like I don't remember a time when I struggled with it. Even if when I was younger, like I feel like growing up on video games the way we did, the games when we started playing video games were a lot harder, and we had like a crucible almost. Like we were a whole bunch of raw metals, and like it boiled out all the impurities, and now we're expert gamers, big gamers, professional gamers.
big gamers.
But like people these days, like the games aren't like you got to figure this out. They're a lot more interactive and helpful. So
it's fine.
people expect a different type of game, or people need a different type of game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Also, I feel like some games have actually hit a good popular niche, like Cuphead. Like it is a simple concept. There's no hand holding. It's like run and gun, go do it, you know. And it's just like it almost has it. If it came out like if it was Jesus Christ, it came out like at the original time. it would have been just kind of like just every other game because it has the same difficulty. Hi. What? I'm not playing anything. I'm talking to Wombat and Kirby.
Hi, Aiden.
I'm not playing a scary game today.
Oh, he wants to watch you play a scary game and hear you scream.
You can't watch a scary game. You'll get scared. You gonna go play that? All right. All right. Hold
He's
on.
so freaking cute, man.
Yeah.
But like, how about this? Watching your son play video games. Oh,
I think. Yeah, he's got. Okay.
so like
So,
we watched Aiden go after a boss in Sekiro at one point, and he
that's
like
true.
no fear, like went at him, and
Dude,
like
let's go. Let's go.
so it's just interesting how like he could instinctually even like know what to do, even
Right.
you know.
On that point, it's kind of, I guess it's only kind of on topic. Is at the end of that video, I'm jumping to the end a little bit, but one of the most interesting parts to me was like after you play games for a while, you know how you're allowed to handle a task. Like he mentioned that his
Yeah.
girlfriend or wife or whoever it was playing Skyrim and the dragon attacked, and she found a house and hid in the corner, and her plan was to sit there until the dragon left.
Right.
After you've played enough, you know this dragon's not leaving. You have to go do something, but like you just know like okay, there are certain ways you can handle a problem in games, and you know you can't. So it's interesting that you learn that as well.
But at the same time, it kind of ruined her experience a little bit because she didn't have as much. Her expectations were larger for the game, and
Yeah,
so
that's
she was
true.
disappointed for it. Whereas we kind of grew up that any game was like above any expectations we had because like
That's
there
true.
weren't video games. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that's true.
or the games weren't very great quality for a while. I mean, they became great quality, but you know what I mean. Like they were incredibly difficult back in the day.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
So like, and I don't know. I don't mean to like complain about like. I'm not trying to complain about like what games are like now. I love the renaissance of gaming we have at the moment.
Yeah. Oh,
But
so nice.
it's just weird that like there was a time where every game was incredibly difficult, or at least a lot harder of a standard. You know what I mean?
Part of the reason that games were so hard back then is because they were short, right? Like you buy a game and it's only like 3 or 4 hours, so they have to make it super hard. That way
Well,
you
yeah,
can
like
beat it in one day.
for
Yeah.
example, The Lion King was made.
So hard. Oh my god.
It was made to be hard though. Disney
I know.
asked them to make it difficult so that it couldn't be done in one sitting.
Well,
Dude, they're
they could-
coming out with Aladdin and Lion King for Switch.
Yeah, and hopefully
Oh my
they
god.
ease it down. Like,
I hope it's just as hard. It's not. If it's not just as hard, I don't even want it. Now it's not the same.
I thought it was. It looks like it's just the remastered of it, like just better graphics and stuff.
It better be just
better
as hard.
graphics. That game, Lion King.
Why are you so triggered?
Lion King was the best. Like that, the graphics was the best part. It was exactly like the cartoon. It was so good. What are they gonna do? Like turn it into the 3D version, the live version of live?
It's
The
1080 HD or so. I just watched the trailer for it yesterday. Actually, that's funny that you're talking about it because I just watched the trailer. I was like, dude, that looks good. I actually wouldn't mind getting that for the Switch because it'd be like a hard as hell game just to sit there and try to grind away at it if you're like at an airport or something.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard game. I beat that game, but only just barely. Oh man,
You actually beat Lion King.
I did, and I also
I got-
beat Pitfall. Pitfall is a hard game for the
Oh.
Sega.
It is. I don't,
Not
I
not
don't know
not
Pitfall.
not Pitfall for the NES, that little digital guy, but like
Oh, what's up, Tequila?
or Atari, I guess. Hey, To Kill, how are you? Back on topic though. One thing that I was asking you as you were leaving, Trell,
Oh, my bad.
is we kind of began video games when video games were also beginning in a way, or at least taking root. Now that you're watching Aiden grow up playing video games, like what problems has he had playing or not had?
Good question. He kind of goes. I feel like he's faster at adapting than me, and I think that's just like kids in general have so many more like technology thrown at them these days, and like they just get it faster. Like I think like kids these days are going to be way better gamers or anything like that than we ever will be. You know, it's like he sits there. What's funny is when he gets thrown like back into like kind of an older tech that will stump him because like it will be something silly like I'm trying to think of a good example. Like if I threw him a Game Boy or something like that, and maybe it was a color Game Boy or something, he probably would try to touch the screen to try to do something.
Oh, poor
You think it's a
guy.
touchscreen? it's but it's things like that. Like you have touchscreen on the Switch, you have touchscreen on like his tablet and stuff like that. Sometimes like when he gets thrown into something like that, and he's like, I don't understand how are you supposed to control this thing. I'm like, no, you have like this little cursor here, and he's like, what is this garbage? It's
This
like,
isn't what I wanted.
it's things like that. But I mean, the interfaces are always changing. Look at VR with like what's that one, Beat Sabers? I want to try that.
Yeah,
actually.
it's actually a lot of fun.
I've never done. See, I've stayed away from. I've tried out some of the VR when it was starting to come out. I'm not a huge fan. Like I felt like the games were pretty crappy.
I really want to play VR. I just can't justify the cost right now.
It's fun. I don't think it's worth buying. Yeah, agreed. Like
That's probably like where I feel like VR is like, yeah, it looks like a neat parlor trick or something like that. It's like cool, but
yeah,
I'm
it's
not.
fun once.
Yes, thank you. It's like
But I don't own it.
I'm gonna buy all this expensive gear, maybe a couple games, and then never play it again because that's exactly what I did for the Kinect. That's what I did for all the Wii U crap. Like, I just sit down on my butt and play a game because that's what I want to do. I don't want to be sitting there trying to work out or sitting there trying to like. It'll be fun. Look at the Nintendo Labo thing. That was a flare and a flash in the pan, and now it's gone.
Yeah, because think of all the games you want to play. Like the games I want to play, like you said, like Dark Souls, Sekiro, or like Link's Awakening. Those don't work in VR. Those don't even make sense.
No.
And it's like
that's the games I want to play. I will try it. Like I would love to try out like Beat Saber or something like that. It looks fun.
It is.
But
find a friend who has it and play it there, then leave.
The way
be like, there you go, I got my fill, and now I'm never gonna play it again.
The way they designed the Switch, I was almost completely convinced, and I mean, this could still happen. The way they designed the Switch to be so lightweight and have like two toggles on both sides for each hand that fit perfectly in your hand. Yeah. It's like, and like they have the motion controls and everything. It's almost perfect for VR. Like if you put the Switch into a headset, like or connected it. So I thought that's what they were going to go to immediately and start pumping out VR accessible games like Breath of the Wild. How cool would that be in VR?
I think they would, honestly, they probably would have done already, but I feel like they try to gear.
Yeah, and they didn't. It's done now, but like maybe the next console they'll have something like that.
Honestly, I'd rather just have Breath of the Wild as it is right now. I don't really think VR would add anything for me.
Yeah, but like they could have it as a like I feel like the biggest thing that VR is has it not going for it is that there isn't enough stuff for it to be justified as a cost. But like if you had enough things so that it wasn't just a one-time thing and then that was it, like a flash in the pan, as Trell said. Like if you made it worth it, if you supported it, then it'd be something. It could be the next.
I guess what I'm saying is any game that you can put in VR that I would enjoy, I'm confident I would enjoy much more not in VR.
I would agree. I'm glad it's there. I'm glad. I don't want VR to go away. I just don't. I don't see myself partaking in it anytime soon. I guess.
Right.
I would love if the Switch
Skyrim would be cool too.
Yeah. Headset. If Nintendo came out with a headset for the Switch, that'd be awesome. I would support it. I don't know if I'd get it right away, but it'd be sweet.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'll end the VR topic a little bit.
I want to say one thing about it then before you end it.
Go ahead.
Skyrim VR, I took 2 swords and I walked around like this, and I dealt so much damage, nothing could stop me, and that's all I did.
So you were Kirby the Meat Grinder.
Yeah, I literally went like this, and nothing could stop me. So
that's awesome.
Fantastic. Anyway, now I'm done.
All right, so one thing I will say about VR is the reason I'm most excited about it isn't the reason that most people would be excited about it. I'm excited to 3D paint. like
Okay,
make
that's completely
environments.
fair. Yeah, I can see that.
Like I want to walk around an area and like make stuff to like for people to be able to like basically like make a game in 3D by like building the game in the game. You know what I mean? Like if I'm walking around, I'm like, all right, I need to build a house. I'm gonna go and do that, and I'm gonna paint the walls, and I'm gonna paint a door, and then, yeah, I don't know.
That'd be cool.
I think it would be really neat.
Some games like maybe like Planet Coaster, I would love to do in VR. That'd be pretty fun.
Oh man, like riding all the rides and stuff.
The coaster, yes.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. Like everything I've interacted with VR, I don't get motion sickness from VR, so like it's fine for me. But like I know a lot of people that have those issues. I really enjoyed everything that I've interacted with, but like it's been at a friend's house and only temporary, so like I haven't been able to do a lot.
Yeah.
I'd love to have it someday, but we'll see. It's like I'd love to have a 3D printer, but like I wouldn't use it enough to justify the cost. I don't have enough time to, be that creative. So
I think back to the original question then, like with watching Aiden, like
Yeah.
he constantly grows in video games. It's crazy. Like you actually watch him play like Super Smash Bros and stuff like that. He can take on the computer, the Mario Kart. He wins. It's crazy. Like when you just see him like at first he was like driving backwards and things like that. And you're like whatever. He's entertained. It's flashy colors, and also now he understands things. Like he'll go in the battle arena of Mario Kart and he's sitting there and he's dealing damage to people, and also like a shell come at him, he gets out of the way. I'm like, you're 3. What the heck, man? You're like, I'm like, it's just insane that, and I feel like he's just gonna grow exponentially on that. And I feel like if we back in the day, like having no technology as a kid, like my first computer was like a Windows 95 when I was like 8 or something, and if I was thrown at at 8 years old, Mario Kart 8, I would have been like, what is this? And I probably would be like,
what is this power?
I'd be holding the controller up like this, like I'm gonna break it or something. It's like a fragile thing, or I don't know. I feel like kids are just surrounded by technology. They're just gonna like be amazing at it later.
watching my little sisters grow up, I was 17 when they were born. They had a lot of hard times playing, like at the time the Wii console was out, and they had trouble with like Mario Galaxy and Mario Kart. Even they like would ask me to do things for them. So it's just interesting. Like I don't know if not every person can interact with games the same way. Like some people are more spatially driven. Some people are more logic driven. Like just the way people learn differently. People interact with things differently. I mean, like if you just watch the three of us play the same game, we'll all three of us play extremely differently.
Yeah.
And Kirby actually pointed out to me recently, like that we all three of us play. Well, at least he told me that I played very differently than what he played, and I recognize that Trell plays a lot differently than I play. It's just like if the three of us read the same sentence, we'd interpret it 3 different ways.
Right.
So it's just interesting that's the same way with games. Like, how do you design a game so that anybody can interact with it? You know what I mean? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult.
Typically, I like to think of when I do like when I approach a game for the first time, like a blind playthrough.
Mhm.
I usually play the game. I think the best word to use is like I play it with respect. I don't know if that's the best word to use, but like I don't sit there and try to like clip through walls or find bugs or like try to do like I'm just gonna go through it casually as the person would intend. I try not to like just do.
You don't try to cheese ever.
No cheese, no grind, nothing. I don't do any. I mean, like within reason, I guess. But like, I usually just try to like, I'm like, I just want to do this as intended mostly, and then like afterwards, then I'll like, all right, now I'm just gonna absolutely just disrespect the crap out of you, and just try to find everything I can do to break you. I'm done with you. I'm just gonna break you now.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
What do you got something to say here? Or?
No, I've seen some of your streams that are like kind of contradictory to what you're stating. But that's okay.
Well, such as.
Literally, okay, Corrupted Monk, Sekiro. You walk in there, oh, you died like once. I'm gonna give him to jump off the edge. Then you would camp on the edge, guarding, hoping he would jump over you and fall off the screen.
I
Hoping you would...
forgot about that. Well, look, okay, FromSoft Games is all about survival, man.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
you can't-
Oh, so now he's changing his story. I see.
Yeah.
The guy who talks about and plays Dark Soul games all the time.
I tried not to play Bloodborne. You guys forced it. You guys forced it.
Uh-huh.
We had to.
How can you be a Garg bro and not have played all FromSoft games?
That's what I'm saying. And then when PS5 comes out and they release the Demon Souls remaster, we'll all play that shit.
We haven't. I was about to say that. I was like, none of us have played Demon Souls. We're no.
Because they make it too hard to play.
I've tried.
We haven't played the tech games. All those tech game or mech games is what I'm trying to say.
That's
I
not
played
FromSoft.
Armored Core, but it is FromSoft. They make
Nope.
Armored Core.
That doesn't exist. That's not the same studio as FromSoft. It's like it's a different. It's FromSoft 2.7.
So true. And you know what I mean? The Souls-like ones. I'm playing all the Souls-like games I can. I got Neo 2 comes out in March. I gotta play Surge 2. I just finished Code Vein. Anyway, off topic again. Damn it, Dark Souls.
Damn it, Dark Souls. Man, I really want, once I get a new computer in like 2030, I'm gonna play Surge and all those games too. It's gonna be great.
In 2030.
Oh,
What do I want to
man.
say?
I guess one thing I want to say is why are the rules the way they are? Like,
In what regard do you mean that? Like,
okay, so first of all, like, why is it always instinctively going from left to right in a side scroller? Like, is that because of Mario?
I mean,
I think
well,
so.
yeah, it's because of Mario, but then it's also, you know, we read from left to right, so you know,
Not
Mario-
everybody does. In fact, if
Yeah,
Mario was
Japan,
developed in
there we go.
Japan, it's right to left.
That's a fair point. I don't know, maybe I don't know why, but I agree with the initial point that Mario went left to right, so everything following did. But why did Mario go left to right? I'm not sure. I wonder if it says in my little book.
I would think it'd be more along the lines of graphs in math. Would be a reason why it went left to right.
So you're going from negative to positive expositions like that?
Yeah. That's
You know what? That
I'm
might be coding wise why they did it that way. Like it was easier to go from the zero number to an infinite number.
That would be my guess why they chose that to initial. But I mean, the left to right thing reading also kind of makes sense. But you know, you're just leaving out like Asia.
One sec.
That's a good point about Japan. That,
My cat wants to get in.
But that would be my guess. Is it, from a technical perspective, it's probably easier to do it that way. That way, you don't have
Yeah.
to deal with negative numbers if you started off with a positive and you went.
we don't
backward.
like negative numbers here.
No negative zone.
No, absolute values only.
Absolutely yes.
I'm back.
Oh yeah, that makes sense actually. Okay.
Yeah.
But couldn't they just
like,
flip that?
Wait,
but,
what?
I mean,
The axis?
you could, but then you would be going into negative numbers, and it's probably why deal with negative numbers if you can deal with positive numbers. It saves space to deal with positive.
Yeah, and then just I don't know, left to right just looks better. But I wonder if I would say that if right to left was the initial. I don't know. Either way, it's left to right now. So
Well,
Right.
and that's just it. Like now the standard's been set. Why mess with the standard?
yeah,
Like if you were like the one game that stood out against a sea of left to right, and you're like, no, we defy it. We want to be right to left. Everyone's gonna be like,
what
that's
are you
weird.
doing? Yeah, like,
Honestly,
stop.
so when I was developing my Mario levels, one thing
Yeah.
I wanted to do was not always have it be left to right. Like there is left to right because you know obviously the end goal's on the right hand side, the left hand side's where you start. But like I tried to have it where it was more immersive, so like that
Yeah.
you weren't always going right. That there was some left and there was some like interconnectivity.
Mhm.
But I didn't like that it was just left to right. I liked having like the maneuverability to go in other directions too.
Yeah, I can see that.
So like I don't know, like I guess I wanted to challenge that whole conception, but like if that's something that people all automatically think and they think that going right to left is going backwards or backtracking, like maybe that was a bad choice for me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Okay.
now that I'm
Good point.
understanding how people play.
Yeah.
You know what I think, and this is actually part of the reason I want to bring this topic up, is we've all done it. Like you're playing a game, probably a FromSoft game or something like it, and you walk up to a room, you're like, fuck, there's a boss in that room, and it's funny how you get like that's one sign. Or if you walk into a room with a save point and a bunch of items, you're like, god damn it, now you know whatever's next is
Yeah.
a boss. So what are some things like we can talk about that a bit more, or like what are some things in games that signify something, or like it could be like a cracked wall means you blow it up and there's a secret behind
Sure.
it, that kind of
Thank
thing.
you,
The
Zelda.
Sixth Sense thing. The
Yeah,
Sixth-
exactly.
yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much the reason why we wanted to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we've exposed this topic for what it is, I think one thing that I'd like to say is that for me, and my exploration skills, I feel like I have those skills because of games, like,
Mhm.
and like my adventurous side, like when I go on like trips and stuff, like I'm always finding really cool places to go, maybe because of exploring in video games. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like people. I went on a trip to Greece, and the rest of the group wanted to stay and hang out in the pool, and I'm like, fuck no. I like went exploring throughout the city and found all these cool sites and stuff like that, and like went down back alleys and all kinds of things because I was adventurous. But I would have never
Yeah.
seen any of those sites if I had just
Stay in
like
a
stuck with the
hotel room
group.
when you're in Greece.
Yeah, right.
Like
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't know, like when I'm playing a video game, I often find things that are hidden because I know to not like I try and figure out the path that I'm supposed to go, and then I try everything else except for that path before I
yes,
go
'cause
there.
You don't want to progress the story. You want to find things. Yeah.
Right. And even then, sometimes I miss something because I accidentally go the right way. But like, yeah, it's interesting that I feel like that's like a sixth sense for me. Is like knowing where secrets might be, especially like in Dark Souls, like knowing where an item's gonna be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
Real quick disclaimer: the Rogue Scholars are not responsible for what happens to you when you walk down dark alleys in cities. But anyways,
yup.
what like so going back to like some of like Dark Souls 2, when I feel like the game trains you in some ways to learn how the things come. I mean that's how a good game should go. Like Dark Souls is a little bit different, and you got to give it a little bit leeway because it does it on purpose, sure. But like the games should always train you to know how to deal with a certain thing. So like you go into like the first boss fights in Dark Souls or whatever. We always we can never not use Dark Souls as an example.
Because it's the best.
But like you go in there and the first couple bosses are like kind of showing you the mechanics, like you got to survive this thing, you find your own style of doing it, you keep using that pattern over and over again and see what works for you. If not, you got to adapt, change, whatever. And same thing, like you're trying to find items or survive in this terrible world that's in front of you. Dark Souls 2, like when they had that whole like hidden walls that you had to go check everything, and then there was the hidden walls that had the curves and everything. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It's
you said, oh, they
complete
only-
bullshit.
They
you know?
only have curves.
You're supposed like every other thing at that point had like flat thing, and that's where I feel like when I say like I approach games with respect, I feel like I try to like respect's probably the wrong word to use, but I like get like I sometimes get put myself into a pocket or something. I put myself in a box or something, and I'm like, this is how the game is. This is this is their boundaries, and then like I try to like respect those boundaries.
They can't do anything else.
Like maybe it's the programmer in me or something like that. I'm like they programmed the walls to react like this. This is how they react, and then I don't like sit there and try to like negative test it like a QA would. I don't try to
Right.
negative test it. So I'm like, all curved walls, I'm not gonna go worry about those because those won't open because it's always the flat ones or something like that. And then all of a sudden, like it's the one time it's a curved wall, then I'm like, everything sucks. The whole game's changed. It's just the code's writing itself at this point. I don't want to play.
It's writing itself.
I mean, I love it because I get reminded of that so many times. Sometimes, like Doom. Doom 2, like,
Doom.
god damn, Doom 2 is like sitting there and like you have a little tiny sliver of a wall, and I sit there and checked like the entire fortress for like I was like it has to be like a hidden wall or something like that, and
Yeah.
then this one little sliver is the one that goes up, and I'm like, never in the whole game have they made it where it's like it's always been like X length of a wall that went up, and I was like, I figured that was just the parameters of their door that they programmed, and then this one was like half length and it went up. I was like, seriously? I was like, that was the one? Oh my god! I sometimes I need to break myself out of the box like that. I keep getting, and that's where the training comes in. Like you come in, like especially with what you were saying, like you know, beyond me just trying to like sitting there and putting fake parameters in it, and like I keep trying to think of it too technically probably, but like when you sit there and you go into a room, you see a big open room or something like that, you're like, yeah, that's a boss, you know. You
Yeah.
just give that big old sigh, you're like, here we go.
Small
You
entrance
have
into
the
big
size.
area. Yeah, it's a
It
boss.
is.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, in Sekiro, where like the second fight with the monkey is, the guardian ape. That when I entered that area, I'm like, this is a boss area, and like then nothing happened. I was like, what the fuck is this place?
Oh,
Like,
you did it weird. Yeah, you went there first. Not weird, differently, but yeah,
Right.
you went there first.
but you have
went
to
to-
go
you-
through there.
You went to the second encounter of the monkey
Yes,
first.
the
Yeah, but there
monkey
was no
there.
monkey there.
'Cause
So
didn't
you
do it.
You just had the warrior then?
No, there was nothing there.
Nothing,
It was just
the
an
warrior
empty
was there,
room.
The second monkey. Yes, we got a freebie.
What? So wait, did you actually were you able to go through and go to the village?
Yeah.
Whoa. Wait, so how did you end up coming back there? made you come
I
back?
went. I explored. Like I was looking for stuff, and I found the guardian ape. I just kind of stumbled across him again. I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, I was
Whoa,
right. This
okay.
is. I found like a guy like bloodied, and like the whole area was ruined, and I'm like, something happened here. It's different. And then I followed like a blood smear, and there was a guy, and he's like, the guardian ape is here or something like that, and
The
Right.
guardian ape is here.
and then he dies, and I'm like, oh shit, what? And then like there's the
Yeah,
headless ape.
I intentionally try not. I try like especially within Dark Souls, like or Sekiro or anything. Like I try to like they're like you go ring a bell. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay focused and just ring that bell. I don't want to stray too far off the path because I don't want to like
So
find something I'm not ready for.
yeah, but that's the whole thing with Dark Souls. Like I let it guide me in that way, but like I try and hit every area I can that it will let me hit. Like that's how I found I found oh what is it? The depths or not the depths. The Blighttown. I found Blighttown
Blighttown,
immediately,
Blighttown.
remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do.
my,
You had the key, right?
I had the key because I wanted to be able to go everywhere that I wanted to go. Like
Oh, what's up, Matt?
That key gets you in trouble.
yeah, that key, I went straight to Blighttown. Like, you guys were like, go to Blighttown, and then I did, without even realizing it. I was like, I'm in fucking what?
Blighttown. What'd you say, Matt? You'd be surprised how many people can't understand maps we look at every day on our phones. But looking at
Yeah.
Maps and game. Yeah.
So one thing I've found is that not everyone is a map reader. I instinctually, like, I've always been really good with maps. Even when I was a kid, like, my parents got lost, and we were in a car, and I was looking at the map, and I'm like, no, you need to go here. I was, like, fucking 5 years old, and, like, I got them unlost. It was great. But, like, there's a lot of people that can't read maps at all. Like, even if they're like clearly labeled and like maneuver with them, like I found that like I teach for a living, and like maps are things I give out to help people get where they need to go at the site that I'm at, and like it doesn't help everyone. Sometimes it's like they're like this is not helpful. Like so it's
integrate,
interesting.
Google Maps with every video game from now on. Just hit
Yeah,
that
that
API.
way it forces them to learn.
It'll just tell them. It'll just be like, turn left at the next Blighttown bullshit. And you're like, okay, cool. This
Hey,
is
can
where I
I
gotta
that
go.
bonfire down there?
We can call it Navi.
Hey,
listen! You need
to turn right.
Look out! Turn left.
Every game
Blighttown
has
is
that
it.
now.
Hey!
Yes.
And you know what? Like, and then again, you're supposed to have like friends that watch your back and not let you go into Blighttown a second time. and then I wouldn't have to find no fucking bonfire.
Oh, you mean the same friends that let me go to Blighttown first and told me to go to Blighttown first? I don't want to hear it. I hadn't even played the game at that point, so.
Oh my god.
Dagger Falls dungeon map. Holy hell, that was confusing. Dagger Falls, what's that from? Or what is Dagger Falls?
Isn't it Elder Scrolls 2 with Dagger Falls?
Oh.
It is good. Wow, look at Trell. Yes, yup.
What was it was Morrowind 3?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Oblivion was
Morrowind was
4.
3.
Yeah.
Oblivion 4 was-
Okay, cool.
Arena, I think was 1. I think that's what it was called.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't start playing till Morrowind, so
Yeah, I played.
I thought it was Dagger Fell, not Dagger Falls.
One was supposedly the whole all Tamriel, right? And then 2 was I can't remember the name of the place. The Redguard area, I think that's what it was.
No, Redguard area was in Morrowind, wasn't it?
No, Morrowind was the Dark Elves area.
Oh yeah, you're
the
right. You're right.
island. No, the new one is the Redguard area, right? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Kirby's like, what? There's a Tamriel? What is this? I just fight things. I didn't know there was actually lore.
What is happening? I don't understand.
Pretty much. Every game I play, oh my god, if you can skip cutscenes, they're gone. They're gone. They don't even exist.
He's like, these places have names? I thought we were just walking through random generated areas.
Pretty much. Dude, yes! Like, the only games of recent memory that I listened to the story are Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War.
God of
So,
War.
This is the story in God of War?
It was well, one, you can't skip cutscenes, so I was forced to, but then it actually sucked me in, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, so
And the character development was solid.
I have that on my list. I want to play all of them. They look so
Yeah,
damn
I
good.
don't know about the earlier
I
ones,
played
but
God
the
of
one-
War 1 and 2.
They just need to come out with those remasters.
I kind of liked them. They were fun. I think I prefer what they did with the new God of War though.
Yeah, so you definitely like that just because of exploration alone.
Yeah.
Damn, is it good?
By the way, Trell, can I point out for a second that until dawn I got all but 5 totems?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got all the death totems, don't worry.
I got. Oh man. The totems.
I got all the guidance totems, all the death and all the loss, and all the fortune too.
Yeah, I tried out one of those. It was sick.
Or not loss, danger. I got the danger, all the danger.
What did you think of the game, by the way? Like, was it
I
scary
liked it.
for you? I know you didn't think Layers of Fear was scary.
We'll talk about that another time because we gotta stay on topic, or we can talk about it off, because that's a whole lot to unpack. So as a designer and wanting to make my own video game someday, I think like some rules are okay to be broken as long as you do it in a specific way. Like with the side scroller. I mean, even like, would you consider Little Nightmares to be a side scroller? I would, right?
A side scroller, yes. A platformer, I'm not sure.
Not necessarily a platformer, but it's a side
Well,
scroller.
I
I mean,
think
it's
it is.
platformy.
Call it a platformer and not
A puzzly plat.
Yeah, let me think. Yeah, I guess because there are 3 dimensions there. Oh, it's $5 on Steam.
It goes from left to right.
It does. I guess it does. Let me. Now we're going back into the whole genre debate we had a long time ago talking about.
Yeah.
It goes from left to right though. Like you start all the way on the left hand side of the world.
Okay, so then can side scrollers? So side scrollers can have 3 dimensions, like 2.5D maybe.
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
It actually is full 3D, but okay.
Because you can't flip it around. You know what I mean? Like when it doesn't orient based off of you, it has a fixed
I
location,
thought
so it's
there
a
was
side
couple
scroller.
levels there's a couple levels that you weren't going left to right though. You were going right to left.
You can go back, but it was mostly left to right progression. Like the end of the level was always on the right hand side.
Man, what a fantastic game! That game was
Yeah,
so good.
really good. I can't wait for 2 to come out in the spring.
Oh, in the spring, dude! I
Yeah.
can't wait. I need to do the DLC of
Hey,
that
Bestro.
too.
Yeah. Oh, the DLC is fucking fantastic, Trell.
Oh, you
It's
did do
so good. Oh man, it
How-
adds
how
so
many
much more
levels
to the
is it?
story.
it?
It's
You're not playing as the raincoat girl though, right?
no, you're the boy that you meet in that cafeteria.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And
But
you
is
you
it just
do
as long as the original game?
I think it's a little shorter, but it interacts with the main story.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
and you'll see what I mean. Oh man, you'll see what I mean. It's so good. It's so good.
Dang, I'm gonna have to play that. That game was fantastic. And 2, I can't wait for it to come out. Yeah, I don't know if I'll play it right at April though. I might wait.
I probably won't be able to wait.
But that game actually is a probably good example of something that I had no idea. Like there was no training in that game for me. Like how we used like someone like like in Doom when I walk into a room and they just like lay down ammo and health for you and armor and you're like, man, I'm about to have some crazy crap go on. Just like that Sixth Sense. I was completely just flying by the seat of my pants in Little Nightmares. That was a really good game. I had no idea what to expect.
Right. Like, I didn't either when you started. I knew it was like a puzzly horror game, but
Yeah, because there was one part that spoilers by the way. There was that one part I believe you get captured, right? And then you start off the
Spoilers,
level
by the way.
in the cage or
Mhm.
whatever. And it was things like that, like it had you kept thinking like, oh, whatever happens, I'll keep progressing, I'll be safe, and all of a sudden you get captured and you're like, man, I have no idea, like that uncomfortable. I feel like horror games do that. Maybe not just limit this to Little Nightmares, but horror games in general do a really good way of breaking you, not being trained, like just throwing you off.
Breaking your
because
expectations. Yeah.
yeah, you're just kind of sitting there like, I don't know what to expect now because I'm on my toes. I don't know if I'm gonna live, or if I'm gonna switch over to play as someone else. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
It,
And I
but-
think that's the best way to do horror. And like I don't know, like in general, like I like to break people's expectations. Like,
Mhm.
but how cool would it be to have a game where you never, like, if somebody wants to try something, it could work, like, and you
It'd be
are.
great, right? But like, how do you possibly code in everything that someone's going to think of?
It's a good question. I mean, like, they did a pretty good job of it in Breath of the Wild. Like they
I
had
was just about to use that as an example.
they had
Yeah.
a whole bunch of physics that they made, and then people were able to come up with things like not even the designers like thought of. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like-
that's true.
Like the flying machine.
Yeah.
Or
It's amazing what they came up with, or like the buzzsaw, like chainsaw thing, where they just have like the spinning
Right.
around. Yeah, the things that they came up with. It was like, holy crap! This is like, and I like they approached it differently. Like you said, they created a physics first, and they really focused on that, and then they built on top of it rather than like it was almost like they didn't really storyboard out like, here's the game. They didn't box themselves in like, here's the parameters of what you can do. It was like,
Yep.
here's all the things that we want to be capable of doing, and then like now we're gonna just throw like some storyline on top. It was really good how they approached that game, right? It's an amazing feat, I think.
and yeah, like, for example, like, I've seen people play through certain parts and like do things in a completely different way than me, or like I've done things in a completely different way than people did. I'm like, oh, that was the intentional way. I thought I did it the intentional way, or things like that. It's really, really cool. And like okay, so this isn't gonna spoil anything, Trell, but like in Amnesia Dark Descent, and you don't need to mute up or anything. In the first area that you're in, there's a hole in the ceiling and a whole bunch of boxes in the room, and I couldn't figure out how to progress through a door. So I stacked all the boxes up so that I could make a stairway.
I watched you do that.
Yeah.
That was the funniest shit.
To get up into the ceiling, and like I couldn't go past. There was an invisible barrier, and I couldn't see even into the next room. And I'm like, well, this is fucking bullcrap. Like, I want to be able to get up in there. I have the ability to. Why not? Like, why not hide something up there? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and like, I feel like that's what they were talking about in the video that we watched, is like having expectations disappointed can like take away from a game that you're playing. Like, because it gets you out. It makes you start thinking outside of the game, as in terms of like, well, this is outside of the limitations of the game. I can't do this. And like, if you have an environment where you can interact with it, and like it's obvious what things you can't do, like you can't go through a wall because like that wall is there and you don't have anything to break it. But like you see something like, I don't know, a path that you can't go because there's an invisible barrier, like that kind of pulls you out of the game a bit.
Yeah.
Right.
And it also like plays against your expectations of the game too, especially if like, we've played enough games now that we know what to expect when we see an area that we're supposed to be going, but we see like Detroit Become Human, the game wouldn't let us go beyond a certain point. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that, but like they did that in an interesting way with like your HUD like kind of blocking you, like your programming doesn't allow you to go this way or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But like that's a cool way to do it, and like, but like not all games do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting when they put enough effort into it to make it so it's still thematically correct. Like you just said, like you sometimes will be like, oh, there's nothing to explore there. Why would I go over there? I'm focused on this over here, and then it plays that little cutscene to Detroit that makes you turn around and you're like, no, there's nothing over there, kind of thing. It's like they try to keep you at least in the theme, not just sitting there running up against like a barrier, like I can't go any further, and you just like walking into a wall. You're like, okay, that's dumb.
Like if I were to create a game where somebody shouldn't go, I might like put like a soft barrier, like, oh, I'm gonna freeze to death if they keep going this high or something like that, and like if you continue you die, like something like that.
Right. And then I feel like Breath of the Wild did that really well at the beginning when they were like they kind of kept you, they kind of forced you, in my opinion, to go to Zora domain first, because it was like
I didn't go there first.
For me, it was like the easiest thing to go to though, because like the other ones were like, you didn't want to go to extreme cold, you had nothing, you didn't want to go extreme heat, and then the desert was kind of like, well, you're gonna get drought out there or whatever. So I was like, Zora's Domain just seemed like it made sense. I was like, whatever, I'll just go this way. This is the least challenging way right now,
Yep.
It's also the closest to the story point.
Right. So I felt like they try to like guide you that way, and then after that you kind of like start gaining some things. Like you got the water suit, so you could actually like swim faster and you're like, it was like no longer like a big effort trying to go up anymore, because you're like, now I can just go straight up these waterfalls, easy peasy,
Yep. Yeah. Oh my god, that was so fun to get that the first time, the Zora suit.
Yeah. I loved that.
Designing games seems really tough.
It does.
Like,
it does.
I can't imagine like.
There's a lot of thought into it. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
like,
That's why when you have a big team, it's sometimes helpful, but sometimes it's not as helpful because there's too many things that are working on that nobody's thinking about the overall. So sometimes smaller teams work in that way, but like I think like a medium team's usually the best, which is why even like large games, like they still have a tight knit group of people rather than like 400 people working on a single project.
Right.
Or they have directors that get together and think about the overall game, and then they have a team that works under them, things like that. Yeah, I've always wanted to design and create a game, but like I don't have enough of once. I don't have a coder. I'm more of like a big picture / artistic kind of person.
Makes sense.
So like while I have coded small things in the past, like I feel like that's not where my talent lies. So I need somebody else. And until then,
design how to skip the cutscenes.
right? Yeah.
if I made a video game, I would make it so you had to watch cutscenes.
I probably you'd have to
to
watch
the end
the
of the
cutscene
cutscene.
at least once. After that, I'd allow you to skip it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but like, why would I ever even see it again? Unless you mean like a boss cutscene.
So like for example, Kirby, like Until Dawn, I replayed a chapter and I couldn't skip a cutscene that I'd already
Yeah, 'cause-
watched.
Well, there's like those are like the interactive cutscenes though. As well.
No. This was just intro stuff.
Why would you
Oh.
not be able to skip the cutscene anytime though? Why not leave it up to the player to decide if they want to watch your cutscenes? Why would you
No.
ever force them to watch?
Because
Because
I
they
spent
need
so
to
much
build a
money
world.
working on it. and
I don't
time.
care. I paid for your game regardless. You got my money. Why
I'm
do you
making
care
a
what I do
game
with?
that just quizzes you at the end of every cutscene.
And then what,
Yeah,
you
because
know,
I want you to know
times?
what's going on,
Yep.
Kirby. I want you to know what's going on.
Okay, then I'll buy the game like 2 months after it comes out and look up the answer.
Okay.
A cutscene
I-
quiz walkthrough.
And then
I'm not gonna
change
do
the
a quiz.
cutscene. I'm gonna change the game on the fly, so you have to watch it right there and then.
Trell's gonna make a game that Kirby will never play. That's what's gonna happen.
Dude,
Oh man.
Kirby's like, Trellian Studios, fuck this. Nope.
no.
he even like leaves a bad review on Steam. You know, he's like,
Unskippable
don't play this
cutscenes.
game. Unskippable cutscenes.
Minus 20.
Uninstall.
Yeah, uninstalled. Don't do that to me.
Dude, don't treat me like you did Vampire. Whatever.
Vampire was so bad.
That game was actually. I feel like that game was.
Destro, look at Overwatch 2 if you haven't watched it yet. Anyway, back to the story.
I feel like Vampire was a classic game of trying to be too much and not knowing where it wanted to
And
go.
not being good at any. To be fair, the detective stuff may have been fun if I cared about talking to people, but the combat was weak. It was way too easy.
Yeah, maybe if you approached it more like a
Cool.
Elder Scrolls Skyrim type thing, and you talk to people and stuff like that, maybe you'd have more fun. But
Yeah.
like some of the I don't know, it just like going back to trying to keep this on topic with like the predictability and how games have trained us and stuff like that. Like some of the things in that game, it just didn't seem like there was any like it felt too predictable in a lot of ways, and it didn't surprise you. Like as much as I appreciate like games when you approach a game, the beginning levels should teach you some early concepts, and then they should like
Build
challenge you
upon
on those
them.
concepts.
Yeah.
Keep building, and that's how like a game should progress. It should feel natural. You get better. They throw a little bit more challenge at you, and then maybe even like drop off some of the older concepts, bring them back a little bit renewed or something like that. It's supposed to.
Hey,
it's
Untold
supposed
Hacker,
to
thanks
train
for
you.
follow.
So like when you do have like those sensations of you like I've approached a boss room like 4 times already. It kind of looked like this. This looks like a GD boss room. It's like that. It's supposed to happen. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, throw in some new spices into your concoction and give them a new flavor. Like when you fought like the stupid big giant ball tree in the freaking Dark Souls 3, and the whole ground
Oh
just
my
crumbled.
god.
I lost
Dark
my god-
Souls 3.
I lost my goddamn mind.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening? Stuff like that. And then you got like the phases and things like that. Like they're like, you've done like 1 and 2. This is your expectations. We're raising the fucking bar, And that's how it should be. With Vampire, I feel like they just fell flat on a lot of those things. Just watching you play, it was like everything was kind of predictable, and then like you said, like not challenging enough with the boss or with any of the combat, I guess.
Any of it, but especially the bosses.
So if you are just tuning in, we're talking about how games teach us how to play, and what we've learned over the years from
Yeah,
like
let's carry
instinctually.
over.
Yeah. And how people who are new to games, like how they interact with games differently because they don't have that experience. So that's kind of what we're talking about. And right now, what Trell was talking about was how Dark Souls 3 kind of plays upon your experience playing the first 2 games. Which is funny because I played Dark Souls 3 a lot differently than Trell did, because I played Dark Souls 3 first.
Yep.
So like my expectation level for 1 and 2 was very different based off of 3. And it was really weird.
Did 1 and 2 not live up to the hype, I guess, for you, or?
I had to readjust my expectations from the very beginning. Like it was very interesting. Because with 1, I played a couple of the bosses, and I was like, "There's no phases. Like, interesting."
Yeah.
And then like I found that a lot of the bosses had some gimmick to them, which I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So like each of these bosses has like a gimmick, and that's cool. I can kind of see where they kind of progressively went in later versions of Dark Souls because of that. But I was a little bit disappointed by the bosses because of how good Dark Souls 3 bosses were. But at that point, I was more invested in the franchise than I was specific boss fights and like the lore that I was trying to figure out based off of everything. So it was really interesting to, because I like to learn about lore. I like to learn about, or like try and find all the secrets and things like that. Like I was even explaining things to Trell even before he played Dark Souls 3, based off of my knowledge of the game, even though I hadn't finished everything yet. It was weird.
That's and for me, like that's I wouldn't be able to do 1 and 2 after 3. One, like I'd like to do everything in sequence. That's because
I
kinda
usually
going
do
back to what I said
too.
earlier.
But I had avoided Dark Souls so much, like, but I couldn't help it with 3 because it looks so gorgeous. So I
It looks so sexy. That's what
Yeah.
got Kirby into the Souls franchise, was that game. And then you're like,
Yeah.
I have to do the first 2 first.
'Cause I knew that they weren't going to live up to Dark Souls 3. I mean, Dark Souls 1 was close, but still.
Dark Souls 1 was pretty damn good, yeah. But you know, like I wanted the full experience. I want like I do actually care about the lore, unlike Kirby, but I probably don't go to it the extent that you go into it, one. But I feel like I'm more middle ground. I'm like, just give it to me, but you know, serve it to me on a platter. I really don't care to sit there and read all the item descriptions or anything. Fuck that.
I mean, I
But-
didn't really do that too much. Like, and the item descriptions were short enough that I didn't have to really read too much. Unlike some goddamn books you have to read in other games, you know.
Elder Scrolls, I'm kind of like, oh, a book, cool. All right, I'm gonna put that down.
Yeah, in Elder Scrolls, I kind of like collected the books to read some other day, and never read
Oh.
them. You know what I mean? Like, I want all the
Yeah.
books, but like, I don't really need to read them. And they don't usually add to the lore as much as they add to the overall world building aspect,
Right.
which is
Right.
different, you know.
And it's
Go ahead.
probably part of the challenge of a video game too. Like you know, with Dark Souls 3, you had 2 games to help train you for that game. You know, so in a franchise, or any franchise, I guess, you can kind of like build upon what you've already done. But it's not just that, like, because you're gonna have newcomers that come straight into it too. So you also have to kind of like, I guess, account for that. You know.
Yeah.
And then I think Dark Souls like automatically set their demographic. Like, we're not going to cater to anyone that's brand new to video games. You got to know what to do here a little bit, you know. Like they weren't going to sit
you're
there
gonna
and be
learn.
like, yeah, they're not going to give you like a level where you just like jump 20 times and you're like, you did it. And you're like, no. You get one message on the ground that says like B to attack. Have fun, kid, you know, and it just sends you off into the world. You're like,
I mean,
"Oh."
I feel like Dark Souls 1 was a lot more explanatory as to what to do than 3 and 2 were. Like
Well,
in
they probably assumed you played the first 2.
like in 1, like there's like, do this, do that. Here's how you attack some enemies. Here's a boss. Okay, now go have fun. You know what I mean? And this boss also has a gimmick, so you got to learn how to see if you can approach the bosses in different ways. Like they did a really good job in 1 of like introducing you to Dark Souls. Like that whole big area at the beginning in the asylum was like the
Yep.
perfect way to explain the series.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. But there's a reason that Dark Souls is a cult classic rather than a classic. And it's
People are
because it's not for everyone.
People are weak.
And like that's okay. Like it's okay that it's not for everyone, but like if you want to have a game that anybody can pick up and enjoy, Dark Souls is not it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
and that's well known. I mean, like all 3 of us, we were turned off to Dark Souls for a long time because we
Because
were.
I was weak, and then I got strong.
So dude, it was not. So I played like I played Kingdom Under Fire, I think was the name, and a long time ago. I think back on the Xbox, and it had like this game that you sat and you moved like armies around a battlefield and you fought each other and type thing, and then you could also like kind of go into it and you could help fight on the battlefield. So it was a freaking phenomenal game.
What
There's been,
game?
like Kingdom Under Fire. I
Oh,
think that's what
okay,
it's called.
got it.
There's like been 20 of them or whatever, and I was like, the first one I ever played was amazing. And I need to find it.
Have you guys ever played StarCraft?
Yes.
2.
Oh,
Not the first.
Yo, we gotta do a StarCraft game, like where the 3 of us, all battle.
I've played StarCraft for like 45 minutes.
That's it.
Yes. I'll just say I've played the game before. I don't like RTS games.
But,
Hype
like,
hype went up to here and then plummeted.
just
It's
plummeted.
just gone.
What?
All right, Trell and I will battle, and Kirby can be like the announcer or some shit.
The announcer
Can I-
for the StarCraft
Sure.
tourney.
Yo, that tentacle dude is going after that like
Hey,
glowy
hey,
dude.
I know the races. I know the races.
Okay, all right.
But I thought Dark Souls was gonna be, so there was like a newer Kingdom Under Fire that I picked up, and it was completely dumb because it was like almost like it didn't let you explore, like you had like this much width of like a linear place to travel, and it made it like turn and
Coach
stuff like that,
Kirby.
but you would like
Oh,
and you would
I'm
be able to
watching
only
it.
be able to like move like this kind of thing like throughout the whole thing. And, I don't know. It was just a hack and slash game basically, and it was like I thought that's what Dark Souls was gonna be. I thought it was just gonna be like you sitting there just smashing like attack, and I was like, this is gonna be a dumb game, but it wasn't. It wasn't that at all. It broke my expectations of it being like such a dance kind of like way of fighting. It was so good.
Yes. Oh, dude.
I like RTS better than like turn-based. I don't like turn-based as much.
Turn-based in general, or turn-based strategy games like that.
Turn-based strategy games
Okay.
and turn-based in general. Like that's one of the reasons why Pokemon and Final Fantasy aren't games that I play as much, because I like having it in real time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't think you learn as much from turn-based games as you do from other games. When we're talking about like learning from games and getting taught, I don't think you learn as much. I feel like it's very. I feel like the turn-based thing.
I
constantly pulls you
disagree.
out
It's
of-
just have you played a lot of turn-based games, Trell? Or is that not your cup of tea either?
I don't like them.
He does not like them.
Okay. What about you,
I
Kirby?
feel like it
I
constantly
love
pulls you out of
turn-based
the.
games.
Okay.
Constantly pulls you out of the game though. Like you're constantly reminded that you're like watching down on
Oh,
something.
are you ever that immersed? Because I'm never immersed in games. I'm always like I'm playing a game.
No,
always.
have you seen me play scary games?
That's true. Scary games, you definitely.
Yeah.
Every game I play, I'm like, oh, I'm just playing a game, so like that doesn't bother me. I don't get into the game like that. So
I mean,
no, I completely get
investment
invested
in the story, I think, is what he's talking about.
oh, I never
Um,
do that, as you know.
Well, except for like Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War and stuff like that, right? Like good stories, you get invested.
That's true, but I was
Detroit-
never like
Detroit best-
I'm
best.
really into the. Oh my Connor, please. I was invested, but I was still never immersed. I never felt like I was like taken out of the game because I was always out of the game. I was always just
Mm.
watching something happen.
I don't know. For me, like I feel like I have less time playing the game and more time waiting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I don't like that
Like
either.
I can't just go and attack. I have to wait and choose my attack.
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
I don't know. That's the way it is for me.
It's like a game of chess. I mean, how much are you going to learn from a game of chess? It's just strategy. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to walk into this room and I think that this and this is going to happen. It's like, it's just encounter. And usually, like,
there's
still
two different
a
types
way.
of logic. There's interactive logic, and then there's strategic logic. And we prefer the interactive logic in terms of like
right.
if we're solving a puzzle, it's like do X, Y, and Z to solve for L, and
Gotta
then
find L.
for strategy based games, it's like you can do X, Y, or Z to solve for L. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know. I think like the waiting and everything like that, and I don't, like up until recently, there wasn't even really like any enemies to even see on the map. So it's like there was no expectations like, oh, if I go in this area, I'm gonna encounter something. It was like just a random thing. The screen would go blurry, and then all of a sudden it's like some stupid music, and you guys are squaring off. It's like.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm just not a fan.
when I was a kid, I played a hell of a lot of Pokemon on the
That's
Game
probably
Boy.
the exception for me.
And
Pokemon
And
I
I
played a
think
lot
the
of.
reason why I'm not a big fan of turn-based strategy is because I played it so much. And like at the end of the day, it took so long to like do a playthrough of the game because of the turn-based stuff. Like the part I like the most is like going through the game and like exploring the areas and catching the Pokemon. But like
Right.
the battles were like, while they were good, they were the least exciting part of that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's fair.
So like the part I like least about turn-based strategy is the turn-based part of it.
Yeah, like because like if you think like Final Fantasy, I was completely turned off of those games because maybe it wasn't because there was like a go collect them all kind of attitude to it. It was just kind of like I don't know the storyline. I was like at that time as a kid, I was kind of like I don't know what's going on. I don't care. Just get me. I want to go fight something, and then when you fight something, you're like, this is boring.
Well, especially because the moves can basically like they look cool at the beginning, but then like you use them over and over again, it's just the same thing. So it's like it almost feels recycled. In my mind, like that's not always the case, and like there are ways to make it interesting, but I guess that's the biggest reason that I haven't gotten into them.
Right.
Not to trash all over RTS because it does have its place in gaming, and I can see Kirby like.
No, I love turn-based games.
Yeah.
So it's all good. I don't. They're not for everyone though.
Yeah.
Well, like RTS games though, like StarCraft or something like that, I love those. And that's because maybe it's just like the turn base is gone. Like it's more of like that strategy, same feel.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's just like open flow, man, those are great.
Yeah, and like the moment of panic when you see what they have and you're like, oh fuck, I got to counter that. Like or like
Yeah,
like planning for anything and then kind of like editing based off of like that's really cool. And you're doing it in live time, so like you have to be quick and you have to be
Right.
fast on your feet, as
That
opposed.
moment when you're a freaking Terran and then you send out a ghost into the enemy base and then you like expose their like whole dark map and you see that they have like an armada of like ships waiting. You're like, holy shit!
No, towers.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna be screwed. Oh no, you know.
Yeah.
So things like that were just fantastic. You're like, oh no.
Or you're like sending an army down a passageway, and then for shits and giggles, you make your ghost like reveal the territory there, and you see that there's like 400 lurkers under the ground,
Oh, yeah.
and you're like, oh no, go back.
Oh, get out of there! Get out of there! Oh man, yeah, that's fun stuff. But I think games will continue to go on that and find new ways of doing it. I would be interested to see how they're gonna train you in new things like in VR and stuff like that, and where that will take gaming.
Yeah, I guess one. So the last thing, so there's some things I do remember from when I first started playing video games that like using a player's expectations. Like we were talking about it earlier, or like the expectations of a gamer is kind of like it kind of controls how you play a game. So like in the video they talked about how like she found this explosive barrel in this room and she tried to use the explosive barrel on like this hive that she was supposed to actually rip the heart out of, but in an interactive button. But she wanted to destroy it in another way, so she got an explosive barrel, put it next to it, and shot it so that it would explode the thing, and it didn't work. And she was disappointed by that. Like
Who was this?
the wife of the guy that
In that
created
video,
the video.
Oh, okay.
2016.
Okay. Gotcha.
So one thing I will say is like it's when I was playing. I'll say it this way. So when I was playing Ocarina of Time for the first time, I remember this probably because my siblings have told me, but Death Mountain was named Death Mountain, and I thought that I would die if I went there. Like it was like a place, like a deadly place to go. So like I was really worried about going up there. So I tried my best to do everything I could before going up there because I knew I'd probably die, and I didn't know what would happen if I died. So like I was going everywhere but Death Mountain, and I explored a lot of the map before I was supposed to be there. Like I went to Lake Hylia, I went to Lon Lon Ranch, I went all these other places before I went to Death Mountain because I was like, this is the end of the game. Like I'm going to die here if I'm not really careful. So I want to be over prepared.
Risky.
And then Death Mountain ended up being like easy breezy beautiful. and like, so like expectations there, like, yeah, it's interesting how like even like a naming convention can like affect how you play a game. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Like
um,
Blighttown. You never want to go to a place named Blighttown.
I wanted
right,
to go there.
Blighttown, man.
Let's go to Blighttown. I'm moving there actually.
Oh my god.
So like, I don't know. It's funny how like when you watch people play blind, like you see like things that they do or expect that are different from what you know having played the game. Like
Yep.
that's one of the reasons why blind playthroughs are so cool because you can watch somebody and be like, I never even thought about it that way. Interesting, or like, oh, I never even explored it that way, or like, it's interesting as a whole. And I think that's one of the reasons why Twitch is so successful because like the way people interact with games is fascinating, and it helps us learn about the game in general, but it also helps us learn about the human condition and like how people think differently from us because that's really the hardest thing. Is like you know how you think, but you don't know how other people think, and that's always going to be the case unless we like can conjoin minds at some point, like the Vulcans, and or I guess the Gelflings with if you're a Dark Crystal fan. But either way, like it's just really interesting to think about something that anybody has access to, like a video game, and how like anybody can play it completely different. And I think that's like why we found this topic so fascinating and wanted to share it with you guys, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. I'm looking forward to seeing you attempt some of the games that I just recently went through because I know that they're on your list.
Like Alien.
Or Layers of Fear 2 or something like that. I'm interested to see how you approach it because you know, just like you said, everyone's different, so everyone does things differently. I feel like Layers of Fear 2 was great in the sense that they know that if you played one, you expect certain things, and then they did deliver on some of those ones, but then they kept you on your toes because they were like, we won't deliver it like that every time. So then they delivered it to you from the sides and stuff like that, and they were just making you guess everywhere. It was just like, oh, it was so good. They really kept you on your toes. That game was great.
Well, but make sure you don't forget the ring before you go to Mordor. That's Tron knows what I'm giving him shit for. It's all good. It's
I
all
need to
good.
go. I need to go highlight that. But yes, don't. If your mission, if this is the words of advice for everybody out there, for the whole world, if your mission is to go destroy the ring, don't forget the ring back in the Shire. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Honestly, that might not even make sense when you get to the point we're referring to, but when you do, we can show you Trell's playthrough.
Okay.
It was so bad, dude.
Oh, the ring's gone.
That was so bad. It was so bad. To give context, it was in Alien Isolation, and you had there was a lot of stuff you had to do, and then when I went and I finally outsmarted the freaking alien, big Trelster brain. I didn't have the thing I needed to do because it was all the way back at the fucking beginning. I was like,
Bad.
oh!
Of the game?
So no, of the level. Of the
Oh,
level.
okay. All right.
But it was a long fucking level. Oh, man.
Okay. Duly noted.
Yep. Bad game. Bad game.
So, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about?
Man. What's the next topic? Let's talk about that right now.
Well, it's in 2 weeks, which should be the
In 2 weeks, I'm gonna be in
17th.
Germany.
You're gonna be in Germany in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I will.
How about next week?
I'm leaving on the 12th. Next weekend's fine. I'm leaving on the 12th, and I'll be back on the 1st. So
On the 21st?
I'm leaving for Germany on the 12th, and I'll come back from Germany on the 21st. So I could do next Sunday or the 24th. So like 3 weeks.
So let's do the 10th, so next week, and then we'll do the 24th.
That sounds good. We've missed a lot of it anyway, so yeah.
All right. I'll see how I.
Schnitzel and stuff.
Oh man, I'm so jealous. I wanna go back to Germany.
Yeah.
I'll see how I
Germany.
feel next week. You know.
Wait,
I'll.
you might be dead.
Hopefully I should be able to. bounce
Yeah,
back.
so for those of you who don't know, and and Trell, I'll let you explain more if you want to.
He's
Trell
suffocating.
Trell is gonna be Trell's gonna be undergoing some corrective issues.
Corrective measures to fix
Yeah.
what's wrong with my brain.
He doesn't have enough O2 going to
I
his
don't
brain.
want to violate your
His mouth.
HIPAA, so if you want to talk about it, you can.
I'll probably just leave it. Like I'm making I'm enhancing myself for better
He's
gameplay.
trying to undo a nerf that we gave him a long time ago. He's trying to patch it up. He's trying
So-
to hot fix a buff.
We're doing a hot fix.
Yo!
there we go.
Yo, so Trell, have you thought about the fact that your voice might be a little different?
I thought about that. If I come back and I'm gonna be like,
No. It's not gonna be like that. He's gonna be like, I'd like some grapefruit pardon, please.
what if I come back and I have like a sexier voice than Kirby? What if I
Dude,
have
no,
like
impossible.
I'm like
Yo, what's going on, guys?
it'd be
I hope
great.
you come back and your voice is permanently stuck as Craig, or the voice you used to make me like, guys, listen, I'm Big Kerbo.
I mean,
if I talk like my Kirbo impression all the
Yeah.
time.
now everybody's like, what the fuck are we talking about?
I don't know.
So, can I say a little bit more to it, or is that
I don't care.
okay? So Trell has what is it called?
A deviated.
A deviated septum, and
You guys
he
know what
needs
the
corrective surgery to fix it.
septum-
I got a deviated septum. It's so hard to breathe.
So he's gonna get that corrected, and we'll see what happens. But apparently, it's been affecting his O2 intake.
It has been. Look, I've been playing games my entire life with only 50%, less than 50%, because there's actually a problem with the other nostril. I won't go into details on that, but they exposed that for me, and they're like, they're like actually shocked. They were like, you deviated septum on this side, and then the other issue on this side, they're like, you're going to be breathing like a lot better after this. I was like, oh my god, my gameplay is just going to go through the roof. It's going to be like, I'm going to be floating through Bloodborne. It's just going to be so good, dude. Like the Gatlin boy, he's just gonna lay down his arms when he sees me come back. It's gonna be great.
It's funny though, because there's an even bigger body cavity that you use to intake oxygen into your body, and that's
one
the
mouth breathes. Like if you want me to be that optimal nerd, like no one mouth.
I mean, use what your body gives you to breathe. Like I don't know about you, but if I'm underwater, I'm not gonna try and breathe. You know what I mean? Like,
But like, you want me to sit here and play video games like this? Like, oh guys, this is really good.
all right. So next week we'll see if we are able to stream based off of Trell's condition. But if not, we'll be back on the 21st, 24th.
Yeah.
So expect the 10th. If not, we'll put an announcement out that we're not doing it. But definitely the 24th as well. And for those of you who are Zelda fans, this channel will be doing a Zelda month and beyond, starting maybe even today, depending on how things go. And with that, we'll be playing a blind playthrough of Link's Awakening, as well as doing something called Breath of Adventure, which is a new way of playing Breath of the Wild, which you can check out on the Discord. But if you guys have topics that you want us to talk about in this, please give us ideas. We love to hear from you guys, and our list is fairly long, but we always like to talk about things that
But
you guys
something
are
that's been
excited
on the list
about.
for like an actual year, so
We should talk about how Bloodborne is not a horror game. That would be a great.
you're like
topic.
you've played it twice.
I'm gonna finish it out, right? Because I've been putting it off because I didn't.
Yeah,
want to get too
yeah.
far into
We
it
will
before I
talk
like
about
it.
Bloodborne when you are done Bloodborne. Let's put it that
It's
way.
gonna be- we'll talk about how it's not a spoopy game. So good.
Yeah, and hopefully Trell will be of the best quality of oxygen into his brain, and
Oh, I mean,
and
I can't wait.
he'll
That
be
game's
the
gonna be
best
so
gamer
easy
around.
peasy.
and he'll leave us in the dust in terms of play completion and things like that. But until then, while Trell is still bad at video games, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll let you know what the topic is in a week if we're doing it, and we'll see you again at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time ish.
Yes.
See you guys.